Hello everyone, welcome to today's Daily Writing Clinic. So today's Daily Writing Clinic is on General Task 1. It is about writing the bullet point paragraph, or the second bullet point paragraph for the informal letter that we've been working through this month. So before we start today, just a few things to mention. That please remember the daily writing clinics are not mandatory. You really should be focusing on the course before focusing on the daily writing clinics. The whole purpose of these daily writing clinics is to revise different aspects of the course and practice, and then gain some global feedback as a result of the work you do from the tasks that we give you. The global feedback will be on Tuesday next week around this time. You'll be able to find that global feedback in the description of this video, in the comments of this video, and I'll also make a separate post with that global feedback in. The benefits of these daily writing clinics is you can use the global feedback to analyze your own work and overcome your weaknesses. Remember, there is no individual feedback from these. That is the whole purpose of the correction service. So if you're looking for individual feedback, please submit your essays or your letters to the correction service. This is only going to be for providing global feedback. So we're looking at common errors that students are making. After this video, there'll be some Q&A in the comments. So if you have any questions about writing this task, please leave any questions in the comments, and I will spend 10 minutes after this, the daily writing clinic answering those questions. Remember, the Q&A is to focus on the lesson topic only. So we're only going to be talking about bullet points, or more specifically, how to write bullet points for this question. Okay, with all that said, let's get on with the bullet point paragraphs. So the question we have been working on at the moment is you're going to another country to study. You would like to do a part-time job while you're studying, so you want to ask a friend who lives there for some help. Write a letter to this friend, and in your letter, we've got give details of your study plan. So that was last week's bullet point. You can find the general feedback for that bullet point in last week's video. There was also in the comments of that video, and you can also find it in a separate comment on the Facebook group. So today we're looking at bullet point number 2, which says explain why you want to get a part-time job. Remember, we are writing these 150 words. You don't need to write any addresses. Begin the letter as follows, and yeah. Right, so we've already identified this as informal because it says write a letter to this friend, so we know it's got to be informal. Okay. Remember the approximate length for this. We want it to be about 45 to 55 words. Anything under this is likely to be underdeveloped. Anything over this would be considered too much information. And what I generally find when people write more than this is the fact they're including quite a few sentences of irrelevant details, which is something you don't want to be doing because it will be hurting your task response score. So it's really important that we're writing roughly around this and remembering more than anything else that we need to stay on topic. Looking at the global feedback for last week's bullet point, I thought most people did a good job, but there were still a few people who were trying to answer everything in one paragraph, who were including a couple of sentences of extra information, what was unnecessary. And remember, if you're actually going to write 50 words, one sentence in that 50 words is about unnecessary information, then your bullet paragraph is going to be underdeveloped. So it's very important to stay on topic the whole time, because otherwise you don't have enough words to fully develop your answer. So I think it was last week Tanya was saying, can we start adding a couple of extra things? Don't add anything extra, just make sure you're directly answering the bullet point. Okay. So the question is, explain why you want to get a part-time job. So for this bullet point, we need to be looking at it, says explain why. The key word here is why, so we have to be thinking of reasons. So what are the reasons for getting a part-time job? Now, quite often, anytime when someone asks you reasons, number one reason is likely to be money. So why do you want a part-time job? Money. So what do we want the money for? So maybe here we're talking about we're looking at doing studying and doing part-time jobs. So you might need the money to help pay for your course. You might need the money to help for living expenses. You might be saving up to do something. You might want to buy a house. You might want to buy a car. There are many, many reasons that you're wanting to make money. But as long as we're giving a reason, as though money would be a relevant reason, anything related to that would be on topic. So that's fine to talk about because that's why you want to get a part-time job. Another reason that people might want to get a part-time job is, I was thinking experience. One reason that people work is they want to get some experience, especially when they're studying. So that could be something else you could talk about here. So getting experience in the area that you're studying, maybe getting experience just in retail, or getting experience working. Another reason I thought that people might want to do a part-time job is they like to keep busy. So they want to be doing something when they're not studying, so that could be equally another reason. Again, they don't have to be the best reasons in the world, they just have to be a reason. So make sure you are on topic. I guess another reason I was thinking about, if you're going to another country, if you have a part-time job, it would be an opportunity to practice the language of that country. So that could be another reason that you want to get the part-time job. Some things we don't want to talk about. Remember, it's asking us for reasons. So we don't want to give details of the job. You don't want to say, oh, I want a job that pays $10 an hour. I want a job that is close to the university. I want a job that is specializing in something. If you're not talking about the reasons and you're just giving details, it's unrelated and unnecessary. So we don't want to be giving details about the job. We're just giving reasons why we want to do the job. Don't want to be talking about previous jobs unless you can somehow connect it to a reason why you want to do this job. So just talking about the job you're doing at the moment is not going to be relevant as a reason why you want to do the job. So make sure we're staying on topic. Make sure we're talking about the reasons why, not extra information. Before we go on to the task, the other thing that I still noticed quite a lot of issues with on the previous bullet point was people not using contractions when they should. So remember, this is an informal letter. So if we're writing an informal letter, it's really important that our language is consistently informal. All that means is one time you forget to use a contraction and you cannot get above a band 6 for your task response. You've got to make sure you're using contractions for this. So not using really academic words. That was another thing that a couple of people did. They were trying to sound clever with their vocabulary, especially in an informal letter. You don't want to be using this really academic language, like talking about pedagogy or things like this. Like, keep it simple. It's an informal letter. You're writing to a friend. You're not trying to show off to that friend that your vocabulary is very, very academic and you know words that nobody else knows. We're writing to a friend. Keep it simple, okay? Keep it accurate, more important, okay? So with vocabulary, it's all about accuracy. Using big words that you can't use properly is going to lose you marks. Using simple words that you're using accurately makes it very clear to the examiner that you know what you're talking about, you can use your words, and he can understand or she can understand what you're talking about. And it's much more important accuracy than the width of your vocabulary, especially with these informal letters. So make sure your vocabulary is accurate. Make sure to the best of your knowledge that the words you're using, you understand 100% how to use them. Okay. So the task for this week is write the bullet point paragraph for the. Sorry, I have a. Can I alter this? Sorry, it should be the second bullet point. Let me go in here. Sorry about that. There we go. Right, so the task for this week is write the bullet point paragraph for the second bullet point. So the second bullet point is explain why you want to get a part-time job. Okay, that's the only thing we're talking about. We're looking at the reasons for doing a part-time job. Okay, for the next 10 minutes, I will be available for any questions that you have related to bullet points or bullet points, especially for this essay. So any questions you have, please write your comments below. Tanya, let's have a look. Hello, everyone. Let's go to the beginning of comments. Why do I only see the old comments? Can I go up to the comments? This is annoying. Sorry, I've only got to the comments where, right, I've got Amritanko I can see. It says, hi Phil, can we give more than one reason? For this, yes, you could do. Explain why you want to give a part-time job. So maybe you could write one sentence about that you wanted to earn some money, and another sentence could be about the fact you wanted to socialize. So yeah, Tanya's question there, could socializing be a reason? Yes, Tanya, that'd be fine. Socializing is definitely a reason that some people would want to work. So yeah, that would be relevant. Must it be only 2 reasons? So joy, it could be 1 reason, it could be 2 reasons, it could be 3 reasons. What you have to make sure is it's about 50 words, and everything that you're writing about is writing about a reason why you want to get the part-time job. So it's not the same as task 2 essay where you're only wanting to use one idea and develop it fully. It's perfectly okay to use a couple of ideas on here as long as they're relevant. The real key to task general training task 1 is make sure everything you're writing in your bullet points are relevant. Okay, and this is where students tend to make mistakes. Is the fact that they do tend to put in extra sentences. I think they're just trying to you know, be friendly in their letter and make it not sound so direct. But the problem is if you're writing information that's not connected to the bullet point, it's just going to end up being irrelevant information, and you won't be developing the relevant information enough. Right, so have we got any other questions? I can only see unfortunately, my last couples. I've got Amritanko, Tanya's, and Joy. So if there was any questions before that, please write them again. Yeah, I don't unfortunately know why Facebook has done this, but it stopped me reading all the earlier comments, which is very annoying. Sham, hello, Sham. As you are already familiar, it's a huge challenge to manage living costs. So I was wondering if you would do me a favor to find a part-time job. Okay, so Sham, if we're looking at that, we don't need to ask the person now about getting you the part-time job. We're only talking about the bullet point. So, and this is bullet point 2. So we might mention them finding us a part-time job in the purpose statement, and we want to mention them talking about the part-time job in bullet point paragraph 3. But for this, we are only talking about explain why you want to get a part-time job. So you could say, as you're already familiar, it's a huge challenge to manage living costs. So I want to get a part-time job in order to pay for these living costs. So that would be one way of doing it. But we don't want to mention anything about asking your friend to get you the part-time job because that's not relevant to this bullet point. Does that make sense? Anyone else got any questions they'd like to put in here? So remember, just stay on topic. We're just talking about why you want to get a part-time job. So we're just dealing with reasons. As I said, the most obvious reason to me for getting a job would be money. It was mentioned earlier in the comments about socializing. I think that would be fine. All right, next comment. Donnie, Donnie, I'd like to work part-time to raise money for my studies and upkeep. Yep, those would be good reasons. So if we're going to use I'd like, remember the expression is always going to have to be I like to. Okay, so remember that preposition. So I'd like to work part-time to raise money for my studies and upkeep. Yeah, that would be fine. But remember, Donnie, while that's absolutely fine what you've written, it needs to be about 45 to 55 words. So that on its own is not enough. So you're going to need a little bit more than that as far as a full bullet point paragraph. But what you're talking about there is definitely relevant, Donnie. Anyone else got anything they would like to add? Or are there any questions from earlier that I've missed because I can't see all the comments? Because Facebook seems to have changed the way the live videos work. Oh, we have another comment. Sham, okay. Yeah, so you want to be off topic. So as I said, just try and make sure that everything you're writing about is on topic. Obviously, some of it, Sham, is on topic, but you've got to make sure that all of it is on topic. Every sentence you write in a bullet point, you have to make sure every sentence is relevant to the bullet point. So in case anyone has just joined, the task for this week is to write the bullet point paragraph of the second bullet point of the question we've been looking at this month. So the question is, you're going to another country to study, you would like to do a part while you're studying, so you want to ask a friend who lives there for some help. Write a letter to this friend. As it says, write a letter to this friend, we know it's informal in this letter. And this week we are looking at bullet point paragraph 2, so explain why you want to get a part-time job. So we are, anytime you see why, we are looking for reasons. So the best reason I can think of for getting a part-time job is money. Often if you're asked about reasons to do anything and you're thinking, oh, I can't think of a reason, money's always a good reason to do most things. Someone else mentioned about socializing, which is good. Language practice would be another good reason. Keeping busy would be a good reason. To gain experience could be a reason. Sure, right. As my tuition fee is expensive, excellent. The part-time work can help to pay them. Yeah. Also, the rent is pretty costly too, even though it is a shared apartment. So, part-time job is a lifesaver for me now. Excellent. Really on topic. I really like everything you've written there on topic. Just a couple of grammar things for you, Kishore. As my tuition fee is expensive, and then you say I need part-time work can help to pay them. Well, tuition fee is singular and them is plural. So, what we would be preferable as my tuition fees, plural, are expensive. Part-time work can help to pay them. Then also, the rent is pretty costly too, even though it's a shared apartment. That's fine. So, part-time. So, a part-time job is a lifesaver for me now, or even a part-time job would be a lifesaver for me because you haven't got the job at the moment, so you're talking about a possible situation in the future, so we would use would. Amritanka, let's have a look. The university fees are too high, and if you add the living and food expenses to it, again, Amritanka, remember that university fees are plural, so we're going to say if you add the living and food expenses to them, everything would go out. This expression doesn't work. Everything would go out of the roof. It doesn't make sense. So I'm not quite sure what you're trying to say with everything would go off the roof, but it's not an actual expression in English. So be careful with using expressions that are not accurate. The university fees are living. I would just simply say it would be very difficult to pay them. So I'll need to work part-time, and also will provide me a feel of how it is to work for someone else. Provide me, I know what you're trying to say. Let me think of a better way to put it. Provide me a feel. I mean, give me a feeling would be better than provide me a feel would not work. It's actually the actual meaning of provide me a feel is definitely not what you mean. But yeah, maybe the expression give me a feeling of how it would be to work for someone else would be a better way of expressing that. Okay. Zahid, right. The main reason that I'm looking for a part-time job is expenses in the UK. Once again, remember, expenses here are your subject. So is that expenses in the UK are very high. So let's make sure that our subject verb agreement is correct. So looking for a part-time job is expenses in the UK are very high. Also, my current salary isn't sufficient to live and finance my education. Also, I have to give some amount of money to my parent because they aren't in a healthy condition and they need money for their treatment. So everything is on topic there, Zahid, which is really good. Again, just a couple of, I guess, really vocabulary things. So when you said also, I have to give some amount of money. So here we would say I need to give, not I have to. Or I guess I have to give. Okay. So if this is actually an interesting point with contractions. Although you're very good at contracting everything, when we use have to as in an obligation, so I have to do something, I have to go out, I have to give something. In this case, we do not actually contract the have. So it's a special occasion that when we use have as in have to, the have is not contracted. So that's definitely worth paying attention to. Okay, so I have to give. That's where it's confusing. I have to give some money. You wouldn't say some amount. You just say I have to give some money to my parents because they aren't. And rather than saying a healthy condition, we would say they aren't. I guess we could say they aren't well would be fine. They aren't well. They aren't healthy, but they aren't in a healthy condition. It doesn't work. It's not a natural connotation. Okay. Right, Shrika. Talking about job. It doesn't quite work. I know what you're trying to do. I would avoid this just like talking about work, talking about the job. I guess you could say talking about work. Talking about job, that unfortunately isn't an expression that would work. Talking about work, I think doing a part-time, you got the wrong way around. I think doing a part-time job, doing a part-time job to make some money to cover my living expenses would be a good idea because the cost of living is extremely high. Again, as per my knowledge is not an informal expression; it's an incredibly formal expression. So avoid using this as per my. Okay. As far as I know, maybe that would be a little bit more informal. The job also polishes my English speaking and listening skills, which is essential for any foreign language learner. That's great. Christelle, hello, Christelle. Christelle, where you use I would, remember that needs to be contracted, so I'd like. And after would, we have to use verb infinitive, so I would like. So I apostrophe D, like to work part-time. So Sham, I'll be looking at there. Pay attention to articles. Have a look at how to use articles. Donnie, I'd like to work part-time to raise money for my studies and upkeep. As you already know. So I would stop this, Donnie. I want a full stop after the upkeep. So that's one idea. And then the next idea is that, as you already know, I struggled to pay for my first semester's tuition fee. I think a job will help me with extra money. But on topic, which is really good. Okay, so that is all I have time for this week. So please put your bullet point paragraphs in the comments. I will look at all of them next week, and then I will give you some general feedback about the general kind of errors and mistakes, common mistakes that are prevalent in everyone's work, and then have a look at the global feedback video for this, which will be published on Facebook next Tuesday. Remember, you can find that in the comments of this video, in the description of this video, and also make a separate comment on Facebook where you can find the video for that. Last week's video, link to the video is available now, so if you look on last week's live stream daily writing clinic, you can find it in the comments, you can find it in the description of the video, and I also put it as a separate post. Apart from that, thank you very much, everyone, and I will see you all next week. Good luck with your exam preparation.